Hello my friends, it's Collrane or Collrane Tarot here on YouTube. My pronouns are they, them, and what I'm creating for you is a messages from your spirit guides reading. So to get right into the reading, I am going to introduce your piles, which are signified here by these stones. So I actually picked up the third group, but this is group 1, group 2, and group 3. And I'm going to be shuffling live on camera today, so let's get right into it. So hello group 1, if you selected this first rock, this is your group, and I'll put that into sun over there. I am going to be live shuffling, but I want to read you something from the Dhammapada first. So let's do some, okay. We're in the middle of a section, so I'm gonna start from the beginning and read it to you. So this is section 10, the rod. Everybody fears being struck by a rod. Everybody fears death. Therefore, knowing this, feeling for others as for yourself, do not kill others or cause others to kill. Everybody fears being struck by a rod, life being dear to all. Therefore, knowing this, feeling for others as for yourself, do not kill others or cause others to kill. If one pursuing happiness strikes living beings who also strive to live happily with a rod or other instrument, he will reap an unwholesome harvest. If one pursues his own happiness while causing no harm to other living beings who also strive to live happily, he will reap a wholesome harvest. Avoid harsh speech. Angry words backfire upon the speaker. By making yourself as still as a cracked cymbal, not retaliating, you achieve nirvana. As a cowherd leads the cattle to pasture, so do old age and death drive the life of all beings. The fool committing evil deeds realizes not their nature. The fool, due to his evil deeds, suffers as if scorched by fire. He who inflicts pain on the innocent comes to one of 10 calamities. Pain, loss, injury, illness, insanity, danger from rulers, frightening accusations, loss of loved ones, loss of wealth. One of these he will experience, or fire will destroy his house. After the destruction of his body, the same foolish man will go to an unhappy state. Though he does penance through nakedness, with tangled hair, covering his body with mud, fasting, rubbing himself with ash, and crouching in a posture of humility, none of these rites can purify a man who has not freed himself of doubt. Regardless of attire or adornment, the guiltless one, calm, self-restrained, chaste, and resolute, refraining totally from hurting living beings, is the Brahmin, the recluse, the monk. It is the rare being who is restrained by self-direction, who does not invite reproof, as a good horse does not invite the whip. Be like a good horse, touched gently by the whip. The horse moves forward with full power and energy. Have an abundance of confidence, good conduct, effort, concentration. Be aware and attentive. Put aside this great mass of suffering. Those who would irrigate the land bring the water wherever they choose. Arrowsmiths fashion arrows. Carpenters shape wood. The virtuous mold themselves. That was probably one of the longest I almost wanted to call it pastures. I don't know why. Passages. Maybe you felt like you were traversing through a pasture of your mind or something through listening to that. But that's actually one of the longest passages in this book. So most of them aren't like that, but it feels like your spirit guides had a lot to say. There were segments of that felt like a lot of you are seeking towards a more Buddhist lifestyle. This is like basically, I guess, I don't want to equate it to like the Bible, but it's like this one of the most sacred texts in Buddhism, the Dhammapada. So it's interesting because it feels like a lot of you are seeking to be non-harming. You are seeking to live a peaceful life and looking for some kind of reprieve from maybe your own pain and suffering as well. So some of you, I feel, are wondering, like, why do bad things happen to good people? And it feels like there is quite a bit of I don't want to say like suffering in the world at this point, because there's always suffering going on, but it just seems like there's a lot that the collective is aware of in terms of each other's suffering, just due to the nature of moving into the age of Aquarius, and we have that information sharing going on. So there's something here about empathy for the world too, and also wanting to reduce the amount of harm that you input. And I think some of that is actually going to require some level of imagination in this group, with that Nine of Cups being the first card out. The moon here signifies our intuition, being able to see in the dark, being able to reflect our conscious awareness. So there's something here about you, this group, you really want to see a better future. You want to dream a better world. And also I feel that a lot of you are really, the phrasing that your spirit guides are giving me are wallowing in your suffering. And I feel like that's a little harsh, but I guess the purpose of them using such a harsh term is to show that there's some level of feeling unprepared, feeling unhappy, just feeling sad. And I think it goes beyond that. Some of you are like more into a state of depression, but there's something here that you know that you want, and there are steps that your spirit guides are saying that you can take to get it, because that passage ends on, you know, the virtuous mold themselves. And I know the history, I guess, of a lot of the religious beliefs in China, and that's, I guess, where a lot of Buddhism has its roots, right? But I know that virtue is a really big part of Chinese history, and especially spiritual history in China. And so having virtue, having those qualities that make you a moral or an upstanding person, they're going to vary from person to person, but I feel like right now what your spirit guides really want you to do is to get very clear on what your virtues are. And that's going to help you to open up this pathway for fulfilling your wishes. Because if we don't know what base level standards we have for ourselves, it's going to be really hard to know and to seek and to actually allow ourselves to rest into fulfillment. Because what does fulfillment mean? If we're always chasing after or asking that question, we're never going to be able to feel satisfied or stable or rooted or grounded in those experiences. So let's get a little deeper. What else do you want to tell group one? Okay, this is why I'm shuffling on camera, because there's so much organic cool stuff that happens when you're shuffling on camera. So I'm going to kind of actually move this up here, because I feel like this is kind of a main energy. And we have one final card here. And I'm going to leave it reversed since I said it there. So the bottom of the deck energy is the Three of Pentacles, or Three of Earth in the reverse. Your guides with this subconscious energy, they're saying that it's really hard to reach you. So for a lot of you who've chosen this first group, there's something about your mind being cluttered, your faith being scaled back. Like it's hard for you to believe when they're reaching out to you with signs and synchronicities. You have to suspend some disbelief when it comes to connecting with your spiritual guides, is what they're saying. They're trying to help you, and they're trying to also help you to gain some perspective on how challenging or how difficult things actually are, because this mountain is on here. So they're saying, you know, if you're assuming that let's say you're preparing to hike Mount Everest, and you're assuming that the hike is like, I don't know, some ridiculously low number, like 25 miles, or even a ridiculously high number, like you're overestimating. Maybe you're thinking it's like 100, maybe it is actually that, but maybe you're thinking it's like 300 miles, for example, but it's actually only 150 miles. It's half of that. So there's something here where maybe you're either blowing it out of proportion, or you're not prepared enough for how much you're going to have to do to overcome certain challenges. For a lot of you, I'm feeling this is mental health challenges. For others of you, it feels like these are larger social goals and changes that you want to see happen for the collective. And your guides are saying, we can help you do these certain things. We can help you achieve these goals. We can help you fulfill certain purposes that you feel are important for your life. But it's going to take you listening to the guidance that they have, because they have a different perspective. Your guides are able to see where there are certain challenges or blockages or creative ways through or around certain things. They're going to see when an opportunity maybe is better that's coming along, or there are people that you need to collaborate with in certain aspects of a journey. So let's look at the cards that are down here. The Father of Wands, Temperance, the Three of Wands, 10 of Cups, and the 7 of Wands in the reverse. And it's interesting that they had me end off on the journey note, because it feels like this is describing a journey. So it feels like right now where you're at, or how they want to reflect how they're seeing you, your spirit guides, they're seeing you as the Father of Wands. And the Father of Wands is somebody who has a dedicated commitment to something. Because when fire energy is strong, it's everlasting, and it's focused, it's clear, it can burn for a long time and provide a lot of light for a long time. So there's something here about the ambition that's within you, your ability to go for what you want when you want it, because there's something here about quickness too. The snake, the cobra, strikes quickly. The lightning strikes in an instant. So there's something here about you maybe are an impulsive person sometimes. They want to acknowledge that. Maybe you sometimes don't think everything out all the way. There's, again, that message of thinking things through or having a clear plan for something. Or maybe lacking a clear plan for something. But they're also saying that there's a benefit in maybe not always having a plan. So if you're a really rigid person, basically your guides are wanting to push you in a direction that you're not comfortable in. So either if you're somebody that always has a plan, maybe it's time to try and go on faith without a plan and see how things work out. If you're somebody that never has a plan, maybe it's time to make some sort of a plan so that you're not being entirely impulsive. But basically, you're starting this journey with your passion already figured out. You have the passion. It's time to put it into play. Temperance is taking that fire energy and molding it, balancing it out. It's the balance of opposites. It's our ability to be comfortable with two things that seem opposing. Maybe even look into your birth chart if you're into astrology and see where oppositions are happening in your chart. Or maybe if you're a more advanced astrologer, look at your chart and compare it to the current chart and see if there are any oppositions between your natal placements and currently placed planets. So there may be certain periods of time that you're going through right now that are getting you to expand and develop certain parts of yourself. So here this temperance energy is giving you, you're entering into like this time of being really receptive to your guides actually. And I'm feeling like if any of you work with higher like angelic beings or beings of like multi-dimensional consciousness, that it's like way beyond the 3D, if you really intentionally do some kind of like high magic, quote unquote, or you work with just, you know, high deities in general, there's some kind of energy of bringing in a higher wisdom, or even if this is like the wisdom of your higher self, however you want to bring that about. I don't know if I fully resonate with the terms, I think I mentioned this in other videos, but I don't fully resonate with the terms that are floating around the spiritual community at this time around like, you know, higher self, higher deities, whatever. But it's supposed to be a term that means, you know, an expanded and abundant level of dimensions within a consciousness or within some type of spiritual form. So that's what I mean. Your group is quite kind of philosophical, so you may get yourself into some like thought loops, or it's almost like being too smart for your own good sometimes. So definitely this group, part of this temperance energy I'm feeling, because temperance is linked to Sagittarius, and for me, like, all the Sagittarius people I know always know how to have fun. They know how to have a good time. And so something that might be a remedy to help you get unstuck if you are feeling emotionally stuck, quote unquote, is to take some time for play and joy. So I'm going to take a sip of my tea as I say this. And yeah, a cup of tea is honestly a really great example of taking a moment to appreciate the small stuff, to appreciate those things in your life that we might sometimes take for granted, and really meditate in on something that calms the soul, maybe even nourishes the body if you use herbs intentionally. So there's something here about the simple moments, being able to nourish your spirit, because I feel like a lot of you, again with that message I got earlier about being overwhelmed and your guides not being able to reach you, it's because sometimes when we bombard ourselves with stimulus, which is so easy to do in the modern world, it takes us away from our spiritual practice and also our knowing that everything's okay, that we're taken care of, especially when we're living amongst a very much a paradigm of scarcity that we've been placed into because of, the powers that be, depending on what you think that is. But we're not going to get into this at that point. I think you know what you think about that. So anyway, Three of Wands, we're leading into this. So the Three of Wands is that portal. Do you see how there's a portal there on this card? There's something here about being able to see with clarity where you're headed and also be confident and comfortable. There's something here about this energy that doesn't feel rushed. Sometimes when I see the Three of Wands, it's like, let's get going, no time to waste. But it feels like here for you, Group 1, there is no rush because the Temperance card precedes this. Wherever there is, something that you're kind of head over heels for, your spirit guides are there to hold you and to stabilize you and to remind you. You need balance. If you're somebody that tends to overwork yourself, your spirit guides are going to be the ones that get in there and block you from overextending yourself. And they are kind of saying, we don't want to have to be the ones balancing you all the time. Although, we're of course willing to do it. There's something here about you taking that moment to balance your passion and your emotions, because some of you may even suffer from something like bipolar depression, where you go into this state of mania and then this state of depression, and it's like the pendulum swings so far on both sides. And what's happening here is that it's really time for you to allow for these things to coexist. For, we're not going to feel amazing elated every day. Maybe we shouldn't, and we're not going to feel completely down in the dumps every day, but these two states of being are something that actually are really important for our ability to be realistic, to be honest with ourselves, and to be honest with the rest of the world as well, but be compassionate with ourselves. So yeah, there's something here about you finding balance in moving forward and being able to account for all aspects of yourself, because there's a rainbow in here, which is, the full spectrum. And the next card also has rainbows here. It goes into each one kind of housing each color, but on the other side, they're sorted. So again, organizing is really going to help your emotional self. If you have a very chaotic living environment, doing something that I would equate to like spring cleaning, reorganizing, going through and getting rid of old things, that's really going to help you, I feel like, moving forward, because here's making the plan, here's maybe even getting a new job for some of you, here's this moment where your spirit guides are leading you into a new opportunity. Once you accept this opportunity, there's going to be emotional work on the other side with this 10 of Cups to really ensure that you can accept what you've been asking for emotionally. Because here's this wish that your guides are saying, hey, we've been hearing you, we've been listening to your prayers, we've been orchestrating things. It's time for you to open yourself to receive emotionally and not expect the worst, or not expect certain patterns of your emotional self to begin to repeat. Because sometimes mental health diagnoses, they can really help us to understand ourselves, but they can also push us to a place where we get ourselves to expect certain things, or we limit ourselves by the way of a diagnosis. So just knowing how to find that balance between, you know, I've defined myself in this way because it helps me to manage my symptoms, and I'm letting myself be at bay of my symptoms. Like I'm letting my symptoms kind of take over. So yeah, finally we're ending this journey on the Seven of Wands in the reverse. So this feels like reversals to me can sometimes mean a potential for energy, or energy that we haven't quite flipped upright or realized. So I feel like the end of this journey, or the outcome, or what you're subconsciously going towards, is being able to stand on your own 2 feet, to be able to really be the example that you want to see. Because do you see how all 6 of these other sticks are illuminated? They are enlightened by this flame in the center that is burning from this rod, this staff. So it's interesting that I just said rod, because I read you the rod segment. So there's something here about you're not avoiding your suffering anymore. And I feel like a lot of you, this is what this reading is about. And I feel such an opening of my heart at this moment. I just felt that energy change for you. I'm so happy for you, group 1. And I'm glad you have been sitting with me and participating in this reading so far, because I feel whoever's here, you needed this. So thank you. And thank you to the spirit guides who are here. Whoa, they're saying a lot. So hold on, that's too many. So this is my deck that I created, Apocalyptic Theater. If you are interested in it, please check the description box below. I have my information there. This is my pocket deck. I misprinted one of the, you know, when I was doing test prints. So the actual deck is a lot bigger, but this is just the one that I keep on my person at all times in case I ever need to do a reading. So we're going to be using it today. And I will hold the cards up so you can maybe see them a little bit better. Okay, these are your final messages, group 1. So I'm going to hold them up because they are kind of small. That's why I printed them bigger in the final. But we have Physis. Sorry, my hand's shaking a little bit. The Advisor of Fire, and Typhon in the reverse. So my deck has a bit of a different structure to it, but I will explain. You have 2 majors right here. There are only majors and courts in this deck. So I'm feeling like this one's trying to describe you again with the fire energy. These are the 2 court cards for the fire, the most elevated positions that are beyond the Knight in the page. The Advisor, and then this one's depicting the Father of Wands. So you're definitely in a fire energy right now, and you're also seeking to stand alone within your fire energy, as we saw through this journey. So again, all fire and water going on within your energy and within this journey. Maybe your mental health you can see as fire and water. Maybe it's rage and sadness or something. There's something here about these emotions being embodied through these elements. Working with those elements physically might help you to tame it. So let's say you get in this energy where you feel very impulsive, you feel anxious or something. Maybe that's equated to the fire. Going and taking a shower may remedy that because you're interacting with the water, the opposite element. Maybe you've been really drowning in your emotions. You just feel like you can't get up, you can't move, you're lethargic, you're depressed. Going and lighting a candle to help lift your mood, maybe that's going to help. So there's something here about balance, a meeting of opposites in the Advisor. The Advisor of Fire knows how to take care of their own needs and meet other people where they're at in order to create healthy relationships. This is also, again, there's the sun and the moon shown together, kind of in a rhythm of trading out between opposites or between partners. So there's a certain sense of coexisting between you and others. Maybe this is opening up, being honest to other people about your struggles, about what you've been going through. There's also spirit guides present in this card in the way that I've depicted it on purpose. So maybe you work with the Fae realm, maybe you work with certain groups of spirit guides that are culturally specific to you, like devas or even, oh, sorry about that noise. I don't know why I can't think, like the bodhisattvas or something. I don't know. I'm like blanking on certain cultural deities or spirits, maybe even like angels. But there's something here about you working with these figures that may help you to personify certain feelings that you've been having and to deepen your connection to those feelings so that you can use them for your own power, your own benefit. The Physis card here is the third arcana, paired with the Typhon card, which is the 15th arcana. So in a traditional tarot pack, they might be the Empress and the Devil card. But to me, this is Physis, which means nature, and Typhon, which means logic. The logic is in the reverse. So there's something here where you may be dissociating. You may not be really fully like in your life. You're living your life, but you're not experiencing it here with the Typhon, because it feels like there's a certain level of being detached with it being in the reverse, because this shows somebody chained to a cave wall. This is like the tomb angel in the Jesus story. If you're curious about the Christian aspect, it's not a Christian deck, but yeah, it's explained more on the website for the deck. But this is the tomb angel. This is a revelation that's not happening, I feel. And with the Physis card here too, oh, that banging, I'm sorry. That's out of my control. But again, with that dissociation, it's almost like there are things like that may feel intrusive that are actually your spirit guides trying to get your attention again. The Physis card is about being connected to our bodies, and I just was feeling almost like uncomfortable in my body when that like banging noise happened. So there's something here about you feeling unsettled by certain things in your environment too, because the Physis is nature, it's our environment, and our body can be our environment. So definitely make a very clear and directed, like focused self-care routine. So again, that tea thing is coming up. If you do have certain health like complications, even if it's anxiety, there are teas that can help you to address those physical symptoms, because when our physical body is out of balance, that's how our emotional body can be disrupted, and how we can experience negative emotional experiences because our physical body is out of whack. So definitely tend to your physical self, and treat yourself with a lot of love, because that rose is really standing out to me on the Physis card. Give yourself your roses. Even maybe buy yourself some flowers. Do something small that doesn't have, a crazy impact. You won't feel guilty because you're participating in some negative system, but you're still taking care of yourself. Even growing a plant that has flowers or blooms is going to be really helpful. So let's get I'm going to roll the dice on the advisor to see what stage you're at, and then we're going to close out the reading. So 5, change. I use this dice to supplement not having a pip, like the pip ace through 10 in the tarot. So the advisor of fire here with the 5 is like you're fighting a lot of challenges, so you need to allow yourself to rest and treat yourself as someone who is overcoming a lot of challenges right now in your life, and see yourself as being so strong. Give yourself those affirmations, give yourself that love, and say, you know what, I'm so glad that I am finding this balance for myself right now. But that's all I'm seeing for you, Group 1. I want to thank you so much for having patience and participating in this reading. I want to thank your guides, my guides, every other force in the universe that brought us together today. I will see you in another video, my friend. If you are interested in a personal reading, I have the information to that on my website below, and I will see you in another video. Bye! Hello, Group 2. If you selected this dark rock that's somehow just in the light. I somehow set it in the only light spot right here. So maybe that's a synchronicity for you. Maybe you feel like you're somewhat dark, or you're attracted to things that are kind of darker in their theme. But you're somebody who is shrouded in light. You're illuminated still. I don't know. That's an interesting energy. And as I said that, I turned to the side and I saw a book that's behind me called Esoteric Empathy. Yeah, that's very interesting. So I feel like there's something here where you're very balanced in your energy. You're not, preferring the dark or the light. And I apologize if you hear that noise. It's, neighbors. I can't help that. But, yeah, esoteric empathy. Interesting. Some of you may be like counselors or therapists, or maybe even readers yourselves. I'm just getting the energy from this group that you kind of know what's up. You're in contact with your spirit guides quite a bit. And this energy that I'm feeling right now is so lovely. I just feel like I'm really in a ceremony or communion. That's the word. Communion with the spirit guides. I just feel like we're sharing in this moment together. And I feel like you do this a lot. So this is a regular practice for you. You may even be kind of like a spirit guide to other people, or you've had past lives in spirit where you are helping. I'm going to take a sip of my tea really quick. Yeah, and I'm just really happy for you. So, and it's funny because the segment that I opened to is actually my favorite, I think, passage in this book. Either that or another, but it's one of my favorites, and this one's called Happiness. Truly we dwell in happiness. Others hate, but we do not. Surrounded by those who hate, we live free from hatred. Truly we dwell in happiness. Others are sick, but we are not. Surrounded by sick people, we live free from sickness. Truly we dwell in happiness. Free from struggles while others struggle. Surrounded by struggling people, we live free from conflict. Truly we dwell in happiness. Having no obstacles at all, we shall feed on joy like radiant gods. Victory produces hostility, for the defeated ones live in grief. Releasing both victory and defeat, the tranquil minds dwell in happiness. There is no fire like lust, no evil like hatred. There are no disasters equal to the khandhas. And it says down here, khandhas or aggregates are what we identify as self, body, feelings, perceptions, mental or karma formations, and consciousness. So there are no disasters equal to the khandhas. There is no happiness greater than the peace of nirvana. Hunger is the most severe bodily disease. Conditioned things are the worst calamity. When we see this clearly, we achieve nirvana, the ultimate bliss. Health is the highest prize. Contentment is the greatest wealth. A loyal friend is the best relative. Nirvana is the supreme bliss. Having tasted the sweetness of solitude and tranquility, one becomes free of sorrow and sin, while fully savoring the nectar of the joy of spiritual excellence. It is good to see the holy ones. To live with them is always happiness. Not to see the low character is always happiness. Therefore, like the moon, following its ordained course, let each one follow a good person, wise, steadfast, loyal, and holy. And it's interesting that the first part of this chapter says, others are sick, but we are not. Surrounded by sick people, we live free from sickness. And it's funny that that live is being highlighted by the little rainbow dot, because I feel like you are a group that truly does enjoy life, and you know the meaning of your life. And it feels like this is the group that is on more of the shamanic pathway in some way. I know not everybody truly resonates with that term, and that's totally fine. I don't even fully resonate with it, but it's a word for a reason, because it has a certain connotation or meaning that it's been made into. And the shamanic pathway, in my understanding, is a pathway of taking on a sickness in order to heal a group. in order to guide, because how can we understand something if we've never had personal experience with it? We can only then sympathize with somebody if we've never understood them. And so there's something here again, if you are the healer, the advisor, the counselor, that archetype, this is definitely your group, because that passage, I feel, was kind of in a way opening your awareness to your own ability to find joy, to re-inspire that within your own heart, because your guides have really been pushing you on this journey. I feel like some of you have been denying your spiritual calling and your spiritual gifts, and wondering, you know, I'm not a saint, I'm not a perfect person, but why am I called into this position? And that's exactly why the advisor of air came out, to show you that because you're not a perfect person, that's what makes you a perfect person. That little paradox there. The advisor of air is somebody who has wounded themselves in order to understand, to transmute, to gain clarity, because there's a crystal ball down here. The advisor of air is somebody who is elevated their consciousness to the level of somewhat of like a master position on a certain subject or a certain perspective. There's some type of like communication, awareness, perception, consciousness that you've gotten into a place of deep understanding with yourself, because the advisor, again, is a counselor. So you definitely are a group that others come to for advice on the deepest, darkest parts of themselves. And you're somebody who can hold space for the shadows as well. And your guides are saying, if you haven't done this, this is the journey that you're on. It's really important for you to not bypass any of your experiences, and to really understand and integrate any of those parts of yourself that are difficult to look at, those parts of yourself that maybe you want to push away because the experience that you had was, you know, something that you don't want to think about, that you don't want to understand. But it's time to really start facing these aspects so that you can be that person that others need you to be, or even if it's not about other people, be that person that you need yourself to be. I actually had an experience last night where I had to really release and purge a lot of emotions, and it was funny because I felt like I was crying and laughing at the same time. So there's just something about being able to like find the humor in those sad places and not get so bogged down, because I feel like for some of you, you've been avoiding the shadow work because you've done the shadow work before and it pulled you so far into the darkness, you really don't want to go there again. And your guides are saying, we're with you. You're so much stronger than those experiences that you had in the past where you felt like you got sucked under. These cards are coming out to clarify this energy and just give me a bit more of what your spirit guides are wanting to say. You have the Corona Magica card, which means the magic crown. This is in the place, it's the 21st arcana in the major arcana. This is in the place of a traditional world card. And this is another major arcana. Turris Destructa, I'm sure you can assume what that means, the destroyed tower. This is like the tower card. And because there's no pip to this deck, because I created this deck, this is Apocalyptic Theater. There's information on it below if you're interested in the deck or learning more about it. But since there's no pip, we're going to use this 10-sided dice to see what stage the advisor of air is at. And a 5. So again, this is transformation and change. You're the catalyst in your own life at this point, but you're also only halfway there. So 5s also mark the halfway point on a journey, especially since this is a 10-sided die. There's usually 10 stages in any suit in the tarot. And so this is talking about like the 5 of air. And so the 5 of air can sometimes be us walking away from certain patterns, walking away from old relationships, giving ourselves a new insight on something, or, you know, picking your battles, as they say. And so there's something here where, you know, you don't want to keep fighting these shadows that you've been carrying around. And so your spirit guides are saying, when you decide to really commit to another little bout of shadow work, you're going to be released pretty quickly, because it's time for you to move on. Stop fighting those shadows that you've been ignoring. When we ignore a battle, it doesn't make it go away. It means that we prolong the fight. is what they're saying, especially with that tower here. This is a card of enlightenment. This is about change in perspective and not denying what's going on. There's a rooster on here, and this is a reminder that because this deck is rooted in the Jesus myth, the Jesus legend, it's not a Christian deck. It just uses the story to give it a new life. But the rooster crows 3 times and Peter denies Jesus. And so what this is showing is that it's time for you to stop denying what's been going on and be really truthful and honest. Once you're truthful with yourself, things can change. But until that point, things are going to stay where they're at. The Corona Magica card talks about endings and beginnings. There's the Ouroboros. This is about understanding yourself. There's a red, like, snake-like imagery that's coming up twice. So this is really going to bring you into your power and again give you medicine that you need, because snakes represent healing, transformation, change, being able to go between worlds, things like that. So there's something here where your spiritual self really needs you to do this emotional work, because you can't get to the next place of understanding the emotional realm without understanding it within yourself. Have patience with yourself too. Group 2. And yeah, on the bottom of the deck you have the Royal of Earth. So, and this card to me specifically connects to a Tibetan Buddhist icon called Milarepa, and Milarepa had to undo a lot of really horrible stuff in his life. He basically gives himself a massive amount of karma in one lifetime, but also shows how to cleanse himself of that karma and then become a extremely prolific and respected spiritual teacher. So again, here's the energy that we're seeing, that you know behind the scenes that is your purpose on this earth, is to be like that shaman, to be that person, like Chiron, the wounded healer. Maybe go into your birth chart and look where Chiron is and see if that's being activated by any of the current transits, if you're into astrology. If you're not, just look what house that's in. Do a basic study. I know the website I always recommend to people is astro-seek, or I think it's astro-seek. It will give you a nice description of any placement in your chart if you are really not sure of what's going on. It'll explain what it means having it in the house it's in. It's a great tool for learning, especially if you're getting into a deeper study than, cafe astrology or whatever those basic astrology websites are. Let's go a little deeper and see what else your spirit guides want to say. Daughter of Pentacles in the reverse. It's funny because while I was shuffling to cleanse the deck from the last group and get your group's reading started, this card popped out. So I'm kind of wanting to start here actually. The Daughter of Pentacles in the reverse is showing that there's a younger version of yourself that in the earth suit, sorry, I'm trying to think about this with this deer. There's a younger version of yourself that's a little shy, that's wanting to hold back from this because you know that there's going to be some aspects of the world that this younger version of you maybe felt really burned by, that you're going to have to accept that this is part of the universe's, whatever benevolent deities that have brought this state of the world, this vibration of the world into being. You're going to have to face those things and recognize that it is a part of it. If you're, somebody who believes in God, those aspects of the world are God as well. So, it's understanding that there is a multifaceted part to this reality, and all of it does serve a divine purpose. And it's sometimes hard to admit that when we feel like we've been a victim of something or we have been mistreated. But with this rainbow here, it's showing that all those different colors of the spectrum, all those different things, they have to exist to produce something that is complex, that gives us contrast. The 9 of Coins next to it, I don't know why I'm reading it backwards, or I guess backwards for English, but it's not traditional for me, I guess. Maybe you know a language where you read right to left, or that's important to you at this time, maybe learning that language. The 9 of the Nine of Coins, it's being protected by these feathers, and that's making me think that there's some kind of angelic protection over you. Maybe prayers are being said by family members, or maybe you have family members that are in spirit who have crossed over. There's something here about your happiness is protected, is what your guides are wanting to say. If you're worried about what this journey might open up for you, how things might change as this journey continues, your guides are saying that when you take that time, like I said before, to pause, to slow down, to appreciate the small things. I'm thinking of, I went to a river the other day, and actually I read the happiness chapter out loud to the river. And it feels like taking those small things that no one can ever take away from you, really. Finding pleasure in those small things, that's where your happiness is being protected. This is what's making you prosperous, essentially. And cultivating more of that is where your spirit guides are leading you. The Hangman in the reverse with the Son of Swords, I feel like these are together almost, because we have these court cards on the ends. This is showing that when you take the time to almost pause and reflect and do that shadow work, because the bat can symbolize going through the darkness, being able to use other senses, use your psychic, your spiritual senses, to tap into those parts of your reality, or those parts of our shared reality that are darker, that are scarier to maybe approach. That's where this change of perspective happens. This is also where you can let those bats out of the cave, so to speak. Release yourself from the ties of past relationships where you feel stuck or held into a certain karmic pattern. I'm thinking of how the happiness chapter was talking about the khandhas, which are the mental perceptions. Those can be karmic patterns, karmic forms in our consciousness. I'm feeling like releasing those is going to be really helpful for you. This is what this Hangman talks about. Maybe call on the bat as a spirit guide if you are connected to this card. The Son of Swords is giving, again, the owl has a lot of similar symbolism to the bat, but the bat is generally regarded as maybe less of a intimidating omen. But that Son of Swords, that owl, is showing where you're, when you're clear and you know what you're going for, because I feel like a lot of you know exactly what area you're needing to pinpoint within your own shadow work. If you do it quickly, it'll be over and done with very, very, very fast. Definitely include some inner child work. And what that can look like is physically doing things that children might enjoy, like Play-Doh, clay, things like that are very tactile with that earth energy. Even going outside and just like using a stick to draw on the mud or the sand, something that's very almost mindless, not very planned out, and very highly imaginative, but also will connect you to the earth and ground you. That's going to help you to remain confident within the spiritual work and not get lost within it, because I feel like a lot of you are being called into service in the future, and there's something here where you're going to be provided for materially once you take this initiative to let yourself not be productive right now. That's a really big message from your guides, is saying do not be focused on being productive or what you think you're supposed to do. Let's see if there's any final messages for you, group 2, before I close out your reading. In case you need a confirmation that you need to remove yourself from past relationships, this is a card that in particular in this deck, the 5 of Swords, means to me with this worm, this earthworm that's been cut in half, you need to allow for relationships of the past to be released. If you're thinking about memories all the time, your energy is being drained psychically. I don't think a lot of you realize this. Yeah, let that go. Even do a cord cutting ritual or some kind of like cleansing of your aura if you need help from a spiritual guide or some kind of, healer, do that. Don't go and buy a cleansing from somebody who's charging like $200 something. Like, use your discernment. If somebody's overcharging for something, they're probably doing it for the wrong reason. So, I don't know why I had to bring that up, but definitely use your discernment or expand your own ability to cleanse yourself. We don't always need other people to do it, especially this group. I'm feeling like you're the ones who are a lot more skilled, or you have experience with doing spiritual work. So practice your healing work by cutting those cords off of your own aura. Like, let yourself release in the 4th, 5th dimension. Like, get rid of that psychic energy that's blocking you up, that's connecting you to, this can even be places or just memories in general. There's something that's connecting you to the past or got attached to your energy that it's time to let go. It's time to release. Yeah, for sure. Time to walk away, especially since we got the 5 here again, 5, 5. So, and this is the 5 of air. So I actually talked about that card at the beginning of this reading. What a cool synchronicity. Yeah, and I feel like you're gonna emerge. On the bottom of the deck, we have this Father of Cups, this dark swan. So you're gonna emerge somebody who is really, graceful and beautiful about your emotions, but you're not bypassing any emotions or any experiences. You're very honest with your emotions through this process, and also honest spiritually. You're gonna overcome any like spiritual illusions or delusions that you've been carrying around, any beliefs that just aren't harmonized with your spiritual truth. It's really time for you to get clear on what you're doing with your spirituality, and doing that shadow work is going to help you. So I hope that this was helpful for you, group 2. I want to thank you so much for your dedication to your spiritual practice. I want to thank your guides, my guides, every other force in the universe that brought us together for this reading today and provided us with any insight or assistance. If you're interested in a personal reading, I do have readings offered below at my website, and I will see you in another video, my friend. Bye, have a blessed day. Hello, group 3. If you selected this 3rd rock, it's kind of a rough and ready rock, I feel. But this is your reading, so welcome. I'm gonna start your group with a reading from the Dhammapada. The Dhammapada is like a sacred scripture for Buddhism. It was really important to me at the beginning of my spiritual awakening, but it's a book that I've held dear for a long time, and I feel like there is a lot of wisdom in this book. So let's get started, and I'm just gonna shuffle the book till I feel like stopping. This is number 23, which adds to a 5. This is the chapter, The Elephant. I shall bear harsh words, as the elephant in battle endures arrows, for I know that most people behave poorly. It is the tamed elephant that men lead into a crowd. A king mounts only a tamed elephant. The man who has tamed himself and patiently bears harsh words is also the best among men. The tamed mules are good. The well-bred horses of sin are good. The mighty elephants are good. Best of all is the man who has tamed himself. One does not ride tamed animals to nirvana. Only the tamed person goes there on his well-tamed self. The elephant, Dhammapada, in a rut, his temples steaming, restless, bound, does not eat his food at all, longing for the elephant forest. When one is sluggish, gluttonous, rolling about like a large pig stuffed with swill, one is reborn a simpleton again and again, continuously suffering. This mind once wandered restlessly, wherever it chose, but now I hold it in check, as a trainer restrains the rutting elephant with the hook. Be vigilant, protect your mind. Free yourself from the difficulty of an elephant sunk in quagmire. If a man finds a companion, prudent, wise, upright, and righteous, let him go with him, happy but vigilant, overcoming all danger. If a man cannot find a companion, Prudent, wise, upright, and righteous, let him walk alone, like the king leaving the conquered land, or an elephant roaming by himself in the forest. It is better to live alone than to have a fool for a companion. Living alone, avoid evil ways of life. Be harmless, at ease, like the elephant in the forest. It is pleasant to have companions when you need them. It is pleasant to be satisfied with whatever comes your way. It is pleasant to know virtue at the moment of death. It is pleasant to be beyond all suffering. It is pleasant to be a loving child toward your mother. It is pleasant to be a loving child toward your father. It is pleasant to show proper respect to the recluse. It is pleasant to behave respectfully to holy beings. It is pleasant to reach old age as a morally good being. It is pleasant to be of unshakable faith. It is pleasant to achieve insight. It is pleasant to abstain from evil. And then it's done. So, there was something that came forward while I was reading this. Oh, here. In this pleasantness, it is also pleasant to be sure of your honesty. I'm thinking about a friend that I was speaking to the other day where someone had told her that, hey, what you said was really harsh, like, a little past where it should have been. And they were saying to me that, I was just being honest, and I agreed with them. I feel like what they were saying was very honest. And I think sometimes people mistake, kindness for being the most important way to be wise, the most important way to treat others. And yes, kindness is a very important layer to the way that we approach, but I think honesty needs to be there too. And so a lot of this, it's not saying if you have a bad relationship with your parents, you're going to be a bad person. I think that part of what this is talking about is knowing who uplifts you, knowing who deserves to be in your life, knowing who helps you keep your peace. So I think it's this is all about being able to be your own disciplinarian, if that's the right word. I feel a lot of Saturn energy in this group. And it also feels like a lot of you are working on your confidence as well. So my friend, the only reason why she could be honest and say what her truth was is because she has the confidence to do that. And the self-discipline to know where that line is between being rude and being honest. And I think that a lot of people don't feel like their anger is supposed to be in the full spectrum of their emotions when you're somebody who's spiritual, or there's all these narratives that I feel like aren't even always consciously talked about behaving certain ways. But I feel like a truly gifted spiritual person is going to be somebody who can feel a full range of emotions and have a full range of experiences as well. That's why I'm not fully a practicing Buddhist or practicing of any religion really, because I feel like there are limitations to each. So, with everything, always use your own discernment. But I'm going to take a sip of my tea really quick. And we're going to start shuffling. Hopefully that was not, hopefully you don't have misophonia and you are okay with me having drank the water almost in your ear, or the tea almost in your ear. So let me just center myself a moment as I start shuffling for your reading. Spirit guides of group 3, what do they need to know right now? How can you add to the messages we already got? So 2 cards, these are both majors. We have the Fool and the Chariot in the reverse, and the bottom of the deck is the Father of Swords, this owl with a rainbow sword. So again, feeling the full spectrum of experiences. This is somebody who can go anywhere within their consciousness. And this is like, to me, like somebody who's really good at like meditation. They have their thoughts under control. And not to say that it's hard to describe what under control means, because it's not about pushing out certain thoughts. It's not about censoring your thoughts. It's about knowing where your focus needs to be and for how long. So, giving attention to certain things, noticing when you're feeling or thinking certain things, but not attaching yourself to them, not obsessing over it, not getting stuck in one place mentally. And that's what the Fool is talking about too. I feel like this is about allowing yourself to make mistakes, allowing yourself to be like this youth, this innocent, and also seeing yourself in this way, because I feel like some of you are feeling that guilt too over not having it perfect or not getting it right. I don't know why that phrase is coming through. There's nothing to get right about this life. We can do things the right way, quote unquote, but ultimately right and wrong is going to be determined kind of like with your own discernment. Maybe somebody else would look at what my friend did and see it as the wrong thing, depending on their moral boundaries or their values or maybe even their cultural preference. But ultimately, we have to kind of be our own advocate and to know what's the right journey for you to be taking. So, maybe if it's important for you to be of service in your life, you're going to have less time boundaries against doing helpful things for someone. But maybe if you know that in this lifetime it's really important for you to spend time in solitude with yourself, maybe you do have a really important meditation practice. So going and doing a lot of things to serve other people in a traditional way might take away from that. You're going to have to set those boundaries. The Fool is somebody who is at, base level, really taking stock of what's important and also garnering a good understanding of what is my limitations. Where do I need to improve? Where do I want to improve? So there's something here about establishing some kind of regimen or some kind of discipline, some kind of routine for yourself, because you're at a new point. Some of you may have just started a new job, or you are in a new semester in school. There's something here for like where there's a chance for a fresh start, and I feel like it does have to do with your external circumstances. The Chariot is just reiterating on that, and I feel like the Chariot's reversed because it's showing that this is somewhere where you don't have to have the expectations that you would have. So the tarot is a triangular number. It's the number 21. 21 can be divided by 7 3 times. So a triangular number is connected to that number 3. It can be separated into multiples of 3. And there are 3 different kind of segments in the journey of the major arcana. The Fool is the first initiant. The second initiant is the Chariot. So it's the second one that starts another path. When we're at the Chariot stage, we need to have some kind of a game plan where we know we want to see conquest, where we want to find some kind of victory or learn from victory. Because even in that, it's saying, actually, I don't remember if it was in your group or another, but there is, in that book, it's a Taoist value or virtue, because this is like Chinese Buddhism, I believe, where the Dhammapada is coming from. But anyway, they're saying in the Taoist virtues, it's really important that one does not prefer victory or defeat, because in establishing victory, we're locking other people into a paradigm of being the victim of that. So it's like you're searching, you're not quite at the point, because I'm seeing this as being something that's a potential energy or something that we're not at, whereas this is where we are because it is upright. Your spirit guides have an interesting way of communicating. They may almost like give you riddles or little tricks or puzzles that they want you to undo or to put together or something. But they're saying we're not at the Chariot point. The Chariot is where we have a very clear and conscious goal. The Fool is so subconscious. It's something that we don't know. We don't understand, but we're going to do it anyway because we have the faith. And so right now, your guides are saying, we don't want you, maybe this is a workout routine. This is the example I'm going to use. We don't want you to be doing only, leg workouts because you want to have really muscular thighs. We want you to do a full body routine and see what areas of your body are drawing to your attention. Listening more than deciding right now is what's going on for you. And that's what taming is about. The tamed animal only allows themselves to be tamed because they have a sense of trust between them and their guardian, or whoever is doing the training, the discipline. And it's not about putting yourself into that paradigm of being separate from being a master or a student. You need to be in both roles within your life right now, is what your guides are saying. And it's funny because they're like kind of adopting, it's like a different spirit guide almost stepped in to get to that point of like calmness and clarity. It's like you got to wrestle with certain spirit guides before you can reach the ones that are really maybe more of those peaceful guides, the guides that are going to provide you with soothing. It's like you've got to get yourself moving. And even in that chapter, it was talking about those who like are sluggish, that sit in gluttony, that just stop and become very sloth-like. They don't move. They don't have that the ambition. This is why I feel like Saturn energy is present in your life. Because even though we don't have cards out here that are ruled by Saturn, it feels like there's a lot of Saturn energy in this reading. So maybe you have a lot of Saturn in your chart, or discipline, or time, or karma. There's something here about you having to learn that or understand what that means. So let's get some more messages from your spirit guides. Spirit guides are group 3. We get some more understanding of what's going on for our third group. I felt almost like a chill go through my body. So maybe you get the chills from your guides often. Maybe they're telling you to chill. On the bottom of the deck, we have the Road of Fortune. So this is Apocalyptic Theater. This is a deck that I made. And the cards are a little different, so I'll explain. Road of Fortune is the 10th arcana in this deck. There's only majors and court cards. And so this card would be translated from Latin to the Wheel of Fortune. And also, if you're interested in this deck, there is information on it below. But this is being the subconscious energy here. Road of Fortune is talking about this. In this image, it's water into wine. The season's changing. To me, this card is ruled by Virgo. So this is about understanding what your purpose of serving is and how you can be refined yourself, or allow yourself to turn into a wellspring for teaching, for consciousness. In this card, I reference part of a Gnostic gospel where Jesus says, like, you have not, I have not been your teacher, or it is not I who have intoxicated you. You have drank from my bubbling spring, or something like that. I'm totally misquoting it, but basically he's saying it is you who takes in that intoxication. You're the one who's changed your own consciousness. It's not just my presence, basically. And this isn't a Christian deck. It's just using the Jesus story. So if that's triggering to you, I'm not speaking from a Christian perspective, of course. This is just more to reclaim the story, to be able to use it without, or use it in a new way, maybe. Not with those interpretations of the church. But anyway, the Royal of Fire is here. Themis, which means justice, and then Bifurcatio, the 6th arcana. So 8th arcana, 6th arcana. And I'm going to roll the dice. Because there are no pip cards, there's a 10-sided dice. And we have 0, which is for 10. So 10 of fire. Interesting. One cycle changing to another. You have 2 zeros here. That's a very unique number. Because zeros are the infinite number, and they also mean nothing. What is nothing? Interesting. And this card even kind of mimics a 0 because there's a cycle here. The Royal of Fire knows how how destruction and creation works equally. And we have some road noise going on to maybe confirm that. Destruction and creation. What are your guides saying here with that? Interesting. Though they're drawing me to the wisteria tree in the center. The wisteria tree in China is thought to remove demons or demonic entities. You know, energies that want to vampirize our life force. Again, setting good boundaries with yourself. Discipline. Where are you leaking your energy or giving it away? Where do you want to leave those certain cycles behind? How do you want to consciously make a decision? I'm thinking about when I was in school. I was in this program where we contracted into all of our classes. So when we got that syllabus at the beginning of the semester, we could agree to doing work within the syllabus or refuse doing certain work in the syllabus and try and negotiate. And so I feel like that's almost the stage that you're at in your spiritual journey. You know that there are certain goals or certain things you want to change about your life. You don't know exactly how, but it's time for you to make that contract with spirit or make that commitment to yourself, even if it's not within spiritual guidance. Making that contract with yourself to move past certain energies, to move past certain cycles. And I know it's super small, but there is a little Saturn on the side of this person. This is not the full size of the deck. The deck is actually bigger, but this was a small printing that I just keep with me when I'm on the go. And I'm not at home right now, so yeah, I'm doing this reading away. So that's why I'm using this deck. But anyway, you also have Themis and Bifurcatio. So Themis means justice. This is like the justice card. And Bifurcatio means the second fork. And so it's interesting because in this deck, the Fool card is Furka, which means fork, the first fork. Then here's the second fork, which is in the 6th Arcana place, where the Lover's card would normally be. But in this deck, it's Bifurcatio. And so it talks about the infinite possibilities that stem from that first decision, or that first fork, the Fool. And you have that Fool here. So there's a choice that once you make it, maybe you want to repeat that Chariot lesson of victory and victim. Maybe you want to make a different choice and see a shared victory, or maybe a win. Maybe we use different language for it. It's hard for me to search for that. Maybe it's a shared joy. Maybe it's a acceptance of what's going on. I don't know. But there's something here about overcoming that Chariot energy. Because Themis, the Justice card, talks about us laying down our limitations. Talks about us maybe not coming for peace, but coming for truth. Because here, this sword in the stone, I use this with the scripture reference. There's something like, I've come not to bring peace, but a sword. It's interesting because I've not made references to other texts in any other group. So maybe you need to be disciplined in the mind in terms of like doing your research or reading more, doing something to stimulate your mind or bring in new perspectives. Because the Royal of Fire, this is like anyone who's in a fireplace, they really need input. You know, a fire can't burn out of nothing. It needs things to be thrown on the fire to consume. Yeah. Bifurcatio too. Again, it's about leading yourself into better choices in the future, better relationships in the future as well. Bringing people around you. Like this chapter was all about having companionship. And if you don't have the right companions, it's better to be alone, is what that says. So this is about making those choices, about having the right people around you that are going to influence you in the right ways. Getting really clear about what's important to you. Doesn't matter what other people's values are. What's important to you? What goals do you have in the future? Where do you see yourself? How do you want to be? How do you want to feel? Maybe we don't have to have the blueprint or a map of where to go, but your guides are saying it's possible to get there. So let's get a final message from the Wild Unknown Tarot again. Let's get a final message for group 3. Okay. And it came with the Strength card. And I'm going to leave that because the Strength card, I was definitely seeing that with the Taming. The Strength card shows usually in the Rider-Waite-Coleman Smith, someone taming a lion, which is talking about taming the more animalistic impulses of oneself, those wild impulses. And taming doesn't have to be subduing. It means regulating. It means allowing ourselves to be domesticated, to exist within a functioning format where we can be around other beings harmoniously, where we aren't just at our whim of any impulse, any feeling, any influence. You know, if someone tells us to jump, we're not saying how high. We're jumping because we truly respect whoever's telling us to jump. And if we don't want to jump when somebody tells us to jump, we can walk away. That's being in control of yourself, not having to react. The red, orange, and yellow are highlighted in actually all of the cards you've gotten from the Wild Unknown, which is very interesting because there are rainbows of colors in this deck. But these colors are talking about your 3 sacral, solar plexus, and root chakras. And so these are talking about the chakras that keep us grounded, aligned to the earth, and also connected into our body and our subconscious mind. And so there's something here about allowing yourself to tend to the needs of your body, as well as allowing your passion to be birthed through your body. Where are you wanting to create emotions through the movement of your physical form? The Mother of Wands shows a snake who's protecting the eggs. This is somebody who maybe can have a temper, but is maybe rightly so. Maybe that story I told about my friend was really resonating to you. It's important for you to have boundaries, to protect what's important to you, and to speak up and share your emotions, to explain how you feel, even if it's not an easily digestible thing for every single person. You have to be yourself. And if you make a mistake, if you hurt someone's feelings, be accountable, but allow yourself to speak it in the first place. Don't hold yourself back. Strength is allowing you to have emotional strength, to know when to say something, when to hold back, when to, be a little critical of yourself, and when to know when others' criticism is excessive of you. The Ace of Wands is giving you the opportunity to do something new. Again, to think about what decisions you'll be able to make in the future. What people, what kind of relationships, what foundation do you want to have? Do you, maybe how is belief leading into it? Do other people around you have beliefs that you don't want to absorb? Things like that. The Mother of Wands, again, is also somebody who knows how to make good, strong, passionate relationships that are free of drama. The Mother of Wands doesn't want drama because she has something too precious to keep safe. So knowing your worth, knowing your value. You have the Royal and the Mother of Wands. Fire energy. Royal of Fire is the mastery of the fire element. So thinking about, again, taking in, there's those staffs, taking in that power. What fuels your power? Is junk food fueling your power? Maybe. We can't be too rigid on things. But is an excess of junk food fueling your power? Probably not. Things like that. So definitely your spirit guides are kind of being harsh, I guess. The way that they had me channel was very matter of fact, to the point, honest. But I feel like it served its purpose, and it was showing you how you can do that for yourself in your own life as well. That's all I'm seeing for you, Group 3. Thank you so much for being here with me today for this reading, for committing to your own spiritual journey. I want to thank your guides, my guides, every other force in the universe that brought us together for this beautiful reading today. If you are interested in a personal reading, I have that information on how to contact me for that below on my website. And I will see you in another reading, my friend. Sending you love. Bye.